5:30. New developments in New York City's war on crime. CBS News senior correspondent John Miller is announcing tonight rejoin the NYPD.
Now, we'll talk to John in just a moment, but first, CBS 2's Jessica Schneider takes a look back at a career that's made a powerful impact in two very different worlds.
What was it like to be the person who put the handcuffs on probably the most wanted man anywhere?
John Miller has had a successful career in two fields, television news and law enforcement, and he has a long history with incoming New York Police Commissioner Bill Bratton. Bratton served as commissioner during the Giuliani administration, and he brought John Miller in as a deputy commissioner in 1994, where Miller served as the chief spokesman for the NYPD. But after 1 year, it was back to TV for Miller. He even scored an on-camera interview with Osama bin Laden in 1998. But police work still intrigued Miller, and he rejoined Bratton in 2003, this time in Los Angeles. Miller was appointed head of the Counter-Terrorism and Criminal Intelligence Bureau of the Los Angeles Police Department. He oversaw the LAPD's bomb squad, its major crimes division, and its hazardous materials unit. It was at the LAPD where Miller launched a system that helps to identify potential terrorist targets. He moved to the Office of the Director of National Intelligence in 2005, where he worked across the intelligence community with the CIA, FBI, and the National Security Agency.
Of that 40%.
In 2011, Miller was named a senior correspondent at CBS, where he's been at the forefront of reporting on major stories like the Times Square bomb plot, the Boston Marathon bombing.
We spoke to another relative who also said she was worried about the defense of her home.
And the Newtown school shooting, for which CBS will be awarded the prestigious Columbia DuPont Award for breaking news coverage. Jessica Schneider, CBS 2 News.
All right, joining us now, John Miller. John, congratulations. Our loss is the city's gain, but you had to leave just when we were getting used to you, right?
Well, you know, I never stay anywhere too long.
Definitely not. Now, you know Bill Bratton very well, as we just saw in the piece. Do you see one thing New Yorkers really have to be concerned about in the coming months?
I think in terms of terrorism, you have to look at the current trends, which are, I don't think, and it's not impossible to have another 9/11 scale plot from Al-Qaeda Central, but it's much less likely. The trend is leaning towards low cost, low tech, high impact. Whether that's Faisal Shahzad and his homemade truck bomb in Times Square, or whether it's something like the Mumbai attacks against hotels and public places, or more recently the Westgate shopping mall attack in Kenya. The message that's going out from Al-Qaeda Central is not, we need you to come here and train up in our camps and be deployed in our operations. The message going out is not from Al-Qaeda as much as it's Al-Qaeda-ism, which is do what you can do with the resources you have.
And speaking of Al-Qaeda, you're one of the few journalists in the world to sit down face-to-face with Osama bin Laden. What was that like?
Well, it was an upside-down story, because, you know, Alex, you do a story, it's the big story of the day, and then it fades away. This was a time when bin Laden was really unknown, for the most part, where his impact hadn't been predicted accurately. And it was a story that actually, instead of getting smaller over time, got bigger over time. That interview didn't make much of a splash at the time, but over the years leading up to and then beyond 9/11, it was looked at more and more for the real clues inside it. He declared war on America. He said we would understand what that meant after we brought the boxes back with the bodies in it in big numbers. So it was very telling.
We've heard so many different versions of whether Al-Qaeda has been, cut back, whether they're getting stronger or weaker. What do you see right now in terms of their capabilities and perhaps striking in this country?
I think Al-Qaeda core, Al-Qaeda's central organization, has been damaged to the point that it's nearly ineffective. That's where they failed at maintaining that, and I think that's largely a success of work done by the military, the intelligence community. I think the drones have had a big impact there. I think when you look at the messaging piece, though, and I think if you go back to bin Laden's original conversations, I don't think he ever anticipated that he would be around as long as he was. And I think his design of Al-Qaeda was that the message would eventually be the master. And when you look at their access to the internet and how they get that narrative out there, and how these lone wolf attacks are usually people who have never met Al-Qaeda but bought into the narrative, you see the current face of terrorism.
You know, John, I know I speak for everybody here at CBS News. This is a bittersweet moment. I've known you for years. Everybody who worked around here has worked with you, knows that you're a terrific reporter with unbelievable sources. And I have to tell you, though, I think this may be bad news for the bad guys.
Well, I think if you take the LA experience, we had a pretty effective shop there. I think if you look at the New York experience, they have certainly the biggest, most complex and forward-leaning counterterrorism operation of any police department in the world. So it'll be a great challenge that I hope to rise to.
Best of luck.
Well, thanks. John